tell us, and that's going to be a repeated theme on this week as it was last week. So significant operation to hit with Hornets, a significant missile to be sending into a building full of soldiers. The shrapnel alone from that blast is devastating. Okay, we can move to the next one now. We're at 15. Yeah, we have a thermal imaging camera here that we're going to see. There's a Merkava. This is in Kfar Kala. You can see the tank in behind there, hit by the Kornet anti-tank guided missile sites. We're assuming these are Kornets because the Almas has a camera on board, and you would assume that we would see the onboard camera. So I think all of these strikes that we're seeing are Kornets. You can see that's a significant hit. They're going to see it here from a second camera that's not a thermal camera, and you can see it much more clearly. Direct strike, again, one of 48 tanks in the past 30 days that have been hit. Again, this is in Kfar Kala, so we're still in the same area. Now, these are operations in Der Syrian, which is in the Litani riverbed area. You can see what NATO countries might call a target-rich environment, although they talk about civilians like that, and the Hezbollah fighters here are targeting. See, skipping the 2 armored vehicles and going for the excavator, which destroys it. We can go to the next one too, because there's a second excavator in the same area. So they're just plucking where these excavators are coming to destroy villages. Hezbollah's plucking these out. They got more than 18 of these in just in the last 30 days. Again, he's got a choice here of a D9 armored bulldozer or a excavator, and he goes for the excavator because the excavator is a 100% guaranteed hit. Pretty much 100% guaranteed hit on the D9s as well, but the excavators have nothing. So we haven't seen a battle damage assessment of these, but these will just explode. By the time the dart pierces, the gas tank will explode, and that'll just be left as a husk. Number 18, we're in the same area here. They're just picking off vehicles one after another in this riverbed. We saw last week a half a dozen videos I showed you from this week. You can see how they're trying to conceal all of their vehicles behind trees and whatnot. He flies by. He's got a whole bunch of options. Again here, he's going to choose the D9 out of these options. Once he gets balanced, and I mean, all of these flights, as I've always said, these are reconnaissance flights too. So they get this data. They're all watching it back at their base. There's the hit on the D9. And then they can plan their next operations. The resistance has this capability now of overwatch, of coming in to have intelligence that previously only used to be, we can go to the next one here. It's also in Der Syrian. But this we're going to see them chasing soldiers here. They go one in each direction. Again, air hammer is the code that they yell when a drone is coming down. And Haaretz told us, based on officers, that what they do is they duck and pray. I told you that last week from the Haaretz article. You can see the soldiers here who are also not reported wounded in this area. Hit. We can go to the next one. Is another chasing of a soldier. This is in Taipei. Destruction of the village is, you can see the targeting of the solar panels on those buildings, cutting roads. Those are roads that are cut by the Israelis because they're afraid of driving on the main roads. In case there's IEDs, the Israelis did get hit by several IEDs this week when they moved forward in the Bintish Bale area. There you can see the soldier running for cover, and this drone is going to hit against this Humvee, and again, it's going to blow up the Humvee when it hits it. So the soldier seems to get away from the drone, but the detonation of that Humvee beside him is going to probably make a mess in this situation as well. Number 21, You're going to see this reconnaissance tour over another base. This is the Jabal Blat base that I showed you on the maps. And you can see they're basically ghost towns. The Israelis are not, never in any of these videos. So they're not carrying out their operations in Lebanon in any of these areas. Like all of those observation points are empty, but this is a base that they built completely during the ceasefire. And you can see how significant a base it is. And this is an interesting target. They're going to target the wireless tower here, and they're going to hit this base station cabinet, it's called, basically the power and the brain of the wireless tower there. You can see it right there. So it knocks out their wireless tower on an isolated base. So something that a high value logistics target there on Jabal Blat. We can go to the next one. This is a direct hit on a Hemet fuel tanker. And here we see again, this kind of logistical strikes. This is what fills up all of their vehicles. You can see the vehicles down on the left there, the tanks, I think it's all tanks actually there. And there's another tank on the right. They skip over all of those, and they hit the fuel truck, the gas station for those tanks. So yeah, we'll see it again here. Loop back. Those are the Hemet vehicles that we saw being unloaded. Being unloaded at the docks for the Israelis from the Americans, and the Israelis brag about how they're totally and completely dependent on the United States to carry out this genocide. And if these shipments stopped, the war would stop immediately. But we're watching them just take out these assets that have a finite number. We can go to the next clip, because this is actually, you're going to see this one again, because they did a battle damage assessment clip for this one, because it was a pretty significant hit. This is a drone swarm on this base, and you can see the burn off that's happening after that strike. This is a battle damage assessment from the ground from the same day. Now this is an aerial one from the same day of the operation, and you can see the tank that wasn't targeted that I pointed out on the right there. Look at it; it's burnt. So, and then you can see it there, the tanks on the right, and on the left is the fuel tanker that's completely destroyed. And the fire was obviously so significant that it burned the tank beside it. And then there's one more here coming up. So that was the battle damage assessment from the Ter Harfa operation. This is in Ter Harfa again. This is targeting a Humvee, and again, they're making the same choice. You see tanks, you see troop carriers, you see that looks like an engineering troop carrier there on the right, and they pick out the Humvee in the middle of it, which is a command vehicle. You can see it's bristling with communications gear on the back. So it's a main hub for their operations, and they take that out. They take a command and control hub out instead of targeting the tanks that are, they're a hit and miss. The tanks are built to stop this weapon expressly. So we can go to the next one here. Is also another Humvee. You're going to watch them try to cover these Humvees to give them a little bit of concealment. So you're looking into the bushes here. With tree branches over top of it, and it's still going to get hit. Here, another Humvee. So significant Humvee loss, and these are generally troop leading vehicles, command vehicles, for the most part. I mean, they use them for lots of things, but when you see that gear on it, especially, we can go to the next one. This isn't the same. This is all in Ter Harfa. This is halfway between Jabal Blat and the coast. So there's an excavator that's hit. 18 excavators knocked out in the past 30 days, and more in the last couple of days that we've seen. Significant losses. So these are definitely battlefield losses. We can go to the next one, because in the resistance in Ter Harfa here, they wanted to show us a battle damage assessment from these operations. So I showed you this operation last week. This is their base, the Israeli base. You can see the vehicles parked beside it, and they put this drone. I showed you it last week. They put the drone through the front window here. into the base. And this is now an overflight a couple days later, showing that the base has been abandoned. The vehicles are gone. The sites where we had previously seen all kinds of vehicles, I've shown a bunch of operations. This is the battle damage assessment for the same operation, for the same village, Terra Harfa, which we just watched. We get a bonus round here of it, the destruction of that fuel tanker, which is a significant target. And I think we probably will be seeing more of those struck based on the impact of this drone swarm on this particular base. So again, there's the flyover. You can see the tank on the right is burnt. You can see it on the overhead here too on the right. There you see it burnt up, and then the circle is on the target, and that was the fuel tanker. And then this third one is going to show us, this is the operation I just showed you. So they published this a few days later with a battle damage assessment where they go back. So what happens to a Humvee after it gets hit? You're going to see that, first of all, you can see the spot on the wall where it exploded. And you can see basically it's just a bunch of twisted metal with all of its, the rest of it destroyed. And you can see this from over top there, again, up against the building, completely destroyed. So battle damage assessments, that's what we got this week for the first time. That was the innovation for this week. We can go to 28 now, because we're going to see another innovation here by the Israelis. Look at the tarps, the netting dragged across the neighborhood here. This is their solution. I reported on this last week, 158,000 square meters of netting they're taking there. But watch when this drone turns back and looks at the village. They basically just have this fishing net, essentially. It's not even appropriate netting, but they have 20 soccer pitches, football pitches, soccer fields of them. But look at how they've done it. They just draped it over the neighborhood as if drones fall like raindrops, I guess. That's the only way you're going to protect it, and because you can clearly see that you can just fly under them. So I'm not sure what the Israeli plan is with these nettings, but this is ridiculous what we're looking at here. Just draping it all across the neighborhood so you know exactly where every Israeli troop is in there. I mean, you can just watch this first part again where you see that, the way that it's draped. I mean, I don't even really know what to say about that. Okay, let's go to number 29. A strike on M113s have made an appearance in Lebanon. We know these M113s are not used on the front lines. They're aluminum. They don't work against any of these weapons. So these may be truck bombs that we saw used in Gaza. We saw a previous one being used as an ambulance. They use these behind the lines to shuttle troops. They call it a troop shuttle bus, but there it's being destroyed. And there was a number of reports by Hezbollah this week that they destroyed M113s that were, that they forced Israel to destroy M113s that were taken off their path by resistance operations, and they were explosive. They essentially tank bombs, right? We talked about this in Gaza. People will remember. Take a look at number, is this 30? Yeah, let's take a look at 30. Here's the coastal road, and the soldiers are coming up in a couple of vehicles along the coastal road. Now we are over in Nakura area, from Bayada to Nakura on the coast, along these headlands here. The troops moving forward. They're in these vehicles. You can see by the shadows that they're driving. And this drone is going to deliver an RPG warhead directly into the driver's cockpit that you can see right there. And that slat armor that is on the D9s is just not going to get the job done on a PG-7VL in particular warhead, which is what we've been seeing. So that is a knockout on the coastal highway. We can take a look at the next one. Also, just to say, yesterday, the commander of the 401st Armored Brigade was seriously wounded in Lebanon in a FPV drone strike. I'm one behind here. There's a Humvee covered up in this, again, covered up with, although the netting's a bit better on this site, that last one was absurd and not effective. This they think is a little more effective, except that the drone doesn't care that you have netting over top of your base. It's just going to fly under the netting. and hit your vehicle. So there goes another Humvee. We can look at the next one because this is also the trend of this week. Popping Iron Domes, particularly the launch. I showed you a couple of these last week. This is the same site. We watched them replace them last week, and you can see them go in. Some people are saying this is a decoy. This is not a decoy. You can see the missiles, the Tamar interceptor missiles that have already been fired out of it. You can see it's the same as the one on the left. So there's about a $4 million kill of a loaded Iron Dome missile firing unit that you see there. And there was another one shown today on film. Couldn't get it into the show. You'll see it next week. But Hezbollah reported 3 Iron Dome systems were targeted, probably the launchers that you're seeing here. Each battery has 3 or 4 launchers, and Hezbollah said they hit 3 of them within 24 hours in 3 different locations. And this is the primary weapon that Israel is using against drones, believe it or not. They're using their Iron Dome system against them. So they're targeting the Iron Dome, and these are a finite resource. I mean, so are the fuel tankers. They don't have unlimited number of fuel tankers, especially not battle fuel tankers, and they don't have as many Iron Domes as they wish to have. So we watched Hezbollah pick out these Iron Domes in the previous war. This is not new, hitting these Iron Domes. We watched them do it in the 2023 and 2024 period multiple times as well. We watched them do it while it was firing. We watched them hit it with a Cornet. So these are significant. Like I said, $4 million here, $2 million for the launcher, $2 million for the missiles that are inside it, the interceptors. We can go to the next one. Now here is, we're still in Bayada here on the coast, and another excavator is going to get hit here. So you're seeing basically the totality of operations. These are all operations since you last saw me. They're all operations within the week that they're published within a week, sometimes a day, sometimes 2 or 3 days now. We were starting earlier in the war. It was 2 weeks sometimes before we were getting them. Now we're getting them right away. We can go to the next one. Is an anti-tank guided missile strike against Merkava here. We can watch this on thermal camera getting hit. And you can see that secondary cook-off. That is always a bad sign if you're a tank crewman. When the secondary cook-off happens, I suppose the opposite is true. If you're a Hezbollah fighter and you hit a tank and you see the secondary cook-off there, that's the ammo cook-off, and that is an